Alright, episode... Whatever the hell episode this is now, I don't even know. I might put it at 4.5, I might put it at 5, whatever. So we're going to do a Q&A because I didn't have a better topic today, and I have some better topics lined up later with some guests, but let's just leave that to later. So, today I'm just going to do a Q&A. I asked you guys for some questions. I haven't looked at them, so the whole point was I muted the mentions on the entire tweet, and somebody's going to now read them out to me. I'm going to react to them and answer them fresh. I imagine a good amount of them are stupid, but let's just see who cares anyway. I'm going to cut out, I assume going to cut out a good portion of them.
This is from @Flaminiesta. Do you think Milan will go all the way and win the league? Explain too, please.
Okay. Do I think we're going to go all the way? Fuck it. Yes, we are. I think by, first 11, best 11 versus best 11, we're the best in the entire league. We would beat the brakes off every single team if we had our best 11 available. Now, obviously, you don't get that, and we have specifically had so many goddamn injuries. Everybody's like, oh, this is our year, this is our year. This is definitely not our year because all these guys keep getting injured. We haven't actually had the luck you'd expect to have. But given all that, and given that we do kind of still have depth in those key positions that we're missing out, like Hakan's out, but we still have Brahim Diaz and all that kind of stuff, I still think, fuck it, we're going to go all the way. Scudetto champions. Await that video.
This one's from @Matt Lenta. How much sleep do you usually get?
How much sleep? I wake up 10 minutes before I have to work. I wake up at 8:50, so exactly 10 minutes before I have to work. Then I waddle onto the desk, so let's say 8 or 9 hours a day, probably. I still feel tired as hell.
Okay, this one's from Cam to the Yams _ Best soccer moment you've ever witnessed in person?
He asked that because he was there next to me as we watched it. That was my first DC United game. I bought a season ticket, but I was in Jordan at the time, and they had renovated the stadium. They opened Audi Field They had opened Audi Field, played Vancouver, but I wasn't there for that. So my first game was against Orlando, and we was tied 2-2 with an Luciano Acosta brace. And then my first time, I had spent the entire fucking game shitting on Wayne Rooney and saying, oh, what a piece of shit. This guy isn't even running. Why is he here? He's just not going to do anything. And apparently he had saved up all his running to go in the 93rd minute or whatever. It was 88th minute. So there was still a lot of time left, and our goalkeeper came up for the corner for some fucking reason. It was the middle of the season game. It didn't mean much, realistically. And the goalkeeper came up, and then he obviously didn't get it. And then Orlando counterattacked, and Rooney ran all the way across the field, slide tackle the guy at the halfway line, and then pumped up across all the way 30 yards to Luciano Acosta, who was the shortest fucking guy on the field, shorter than me. And he jumped over a center back and headed in, and his hat trick. And we won 3-2, and he jumped into the stands, which I was right near him. So he asked that question because he knew he was there.
Samirai, was Gattuso world class?
Was Gattuso world class? Yeah, he was. He was so fucking underrated in terms of. Everybody's just like, oh, this guy, he's just a fucking gorilla on the field. Oh, he just goes around tackling people. No. He won the ball at an elite rate, an elite level, and his engine was unbelievable. He'd be so perfect for today's game in terms of the amount of space he could cover, all the ball winning he had and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the entire Pirlo would not be the player, or Pirlo would not have ever had the career he had if it wasn't for Gattuso at the same time. No way. He needed somebody to cover up the space that he was going to, walk around on the pitch. He needed somebody to cover all that space. And he had two of those guys in Seedorf and Gattuso were both physical and just athletic. So, yeah, no, definitely world class in his prime.
@RKBLDN, thoughts on VDB?
Donny van de Beek. I have no thoughts. I just think it's hilarious how overrated the guy is. Oh my God, his touch. oh my God, his passing. Oh my God, this and that. And I remember at the beginning of the fucking season when these idiots wanted to replace Bruno Fernandes with him. Can you fucking believe that? The guy who leads the league is on fucking like goals and assists or whatever. They wanted to replace him with this fucking bum just because he has. Oh, he when he receives the ball, he's such a nice turn. Who gives a fuck? He doesn't do the things that matter. Here's the thing, okay? I actually want to discuss this. I'm going to take a little segment on this, all right? The whole fucking, people have just gotten obsessed with basketball and making that a parallel into football, okay? The efficiency part of basketball does not automatically apply to football. It doesn't. Wait, efficiency part of basketball does not automatically apply to football. In terms of, you could say there are no stat stuffers, man. There's none of those guys in football. If you get an assist and if you get a goal every fucking game, you matter more than somebody who doesn't. That's the fact. That's a fact. If an attacking midfielder has the most beautiful touch and the most beautiful weight of passing and the most effective whatever, and he could dribble and he could do all that, but this other guy has none of that, but he can get you a goal or an assist every fucking game, that guy's more valuable. It does not matter. There's no flat track bullies. There's no guys on bad teams averaging 30 the way there is on the NBA. There's none of that, okay? Because in NBA, somebody has to shoot all the fucking time. Somebody has to be shooting, right? So even on the worst team, somebody has to get an amount of shots and somebody has to be scoring some points. In football, if you just suck, you might just never shoot. You might just never even see the goal. So it's complete nonsense. Van de Beek was an awful transfer in terms of if you spend 40 fucking million on a position that you were already stacked in, and he can't fit you can't play him with Pogba and Bruno, and he's not good enough, he's not better than Bruno. So, and your team is clearly not the finished product. You have so many holes in the team. Okay, not that many, but you do have sizable holes in the team. And you chose to allocate $40 million or 40 million whatever towards a backup instead of a starting player, which makes no fucking sense. So, I don't really he's an okay player. He's just a guy, he's a jag. He's just a guy. That's all he is. So spending 40 million on that guy it's not very impressive. I don't ever see him making that big of an impact at United.
Okay, this one's from Here to Be Serious. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Any shade of blue?
Any shade of blue?
Like midnight blue, baby blue, sky blue.
No, man, just blue. How many fucking... I've never sat down and looked at the paint gallery of blue.
Okay. On the revenge...
Again?
Again. What are your thoughts on Lille this season? Do you think they can actually win the league? How will they do in the UEL? Also, why is Jonathan Bamba the greatest player of all time?
Okay, one at a time. Can they win the league? No, they can't. How will they do in the Europa League? I think they have a fucking great chance because they beat the shit out of us, and I think we're really good. So, if they actually dedicate their time to it, which I don't know if they will, seeing as they're actually close to the top of the league, but if they do, if they end up falling away in the league, which I expect they will, if they end up falling away in the league and they commit to the Europa League, they can definitely win that. I mean, in terms of the teams that are even the Champions League teams that drop down, I don't think that many are actually that much better than Lille in terms of what they showed against us in 2 games. I mean, they beat the fucking brakes off of us the first time. So, yeah, I think they're really good. Jonathan Bamba was he even the best one? I can't remember if it was him or Ikone. Which one was better against us? I guess they all kind of balled out.
This one's from @FallsCF _. Thoughts on Roberto Firmino?
Thoughts on Roberto Firmino? Okay, let's see. He's the one everybody always talks about in terms of replacing somebody at Liverpool. Because I do think he's the most obvious one to replace, right? But in terms of how easy it is to replace him, it's probably going to be very difficult. In terms of you need somebody to replicate exactly what he does, but do it even better. So you need somebody who has his creativity, and you need somebody who has his pressing, and you need somebody who has his build-up and his hold-up play. You need all those things because you can't lose any of that stuff. But then you also need all of that and somebody who can score. And I don't know how many of those guys are actually available and how many of those guys are available in their price range. Unless they sell somebody big, I guess.
From @Porfirio Aristi, Who's the best CB in the world? Matthijs or De Ligt?
It's Matthijs de Ligt, but it's not him. He's not. I don't even think he's the best center back on this team. I think it's Demiral. But, and I know Juve fans are gonna hate me for saying that, but I do think Demiral's the better one. But anyway, best center back in the world is still Van Dijk until proven otherwise. Like until he comes back and he's significantly worse than he was, he's the best center back in the world. This season, seeing as Van Dijk is injured, I think it has to be John Stones. But how often people tried to undermine just how good Van Dijk was when he was playing. Like the 2 seasons or 2.5 seasons, whatever he has at Liverpool, probably top 5 peak center backs I've ever seen in my entire life. It's him, Fred, Rio, Nesta, Terry, and what's his name? Godin. That's my top 5. In terms of just, like, do you understand what it means to have, like, a 6'5" center back that can also keep stride for stride with, like, Mbappe and these guys? Like, it's not fucking real. It's insane. So he has all the physical gifts that you could ever ask for, and he's smarter than everybody on the pitch. So you combine those together, he's a historic player. He's one of the best center backs ever. It's not even close to me. In terms of, like, peak, he's absolutely one of the best players, best center backs ever. And everyone who wants to tell me about longevity or whatever. And it's like, listen, at a certain point, if you reach a certain level of how good you are, I don't really care how long you do it. The same way, I think Ronaldinho is one of the best players ever, even though he was only that level for 2 years. Those 2 years showed me this guy had it. I don't care if he did it. He doesn't need to be. He's not the greatest player because somebody did that level and did it for 10 years in Messi and Ronaldo. Those guys did it for 10 years, so that's why they usurp. But in terms of if you could play at that level for even 2 years, that shows me you're of that level. You're of that quality. You're one of the best ever.
This one's from @Sherwin Samuel. What are your thoughts on @Miana always hating on your takes?
She's just a hater. I can't even do anything about it. I mean, her hate was forged in the fires of hell. I can't do anything about it. She's just an awful person. I don't know what to tell you. She just can't deal with the fact that I'm always right. Especially about Arsenal, which is the fact that she hates the most. I'm sorry. Nothing can be done about it.
This one's from @TeamMellyFans. What criteria would you use to determine the GOAT of any sport? Highest peak, longevity, titles, etc. And why do you think our generation is so obsessed with current athletes being GOATs?
Okay, let's go to the first one. What criteria? I feel like it differs from sport to sport, but generally I think the best formula would be, it has to be a mix. You have to have won a lot, and then you have to have also had a great peak, and you have to have done it for at least some semblance of longevity. I don't need it to be 10 years or 20 years or whatever, but it has to be somewhat long. As for why this generation is obsessed with the current athletes being the GOATs, honestly, I have no fucking idea. There are a lot of people who just think that now everything is better than it used to be, and all the guys who play now are just better than all the guys who played before, and all that kind of stuff. I think it maybe the average has gone up, but not nearly as high as people think. But also, I don't know. I think it's just that. I think just people think that everything now is better than back then, so the GOATs of now, or the best players of now, are going to be better than the GOATs of the past. I don't think that's necessarily true. The difference is, I will say this. I don't think there's any sport where an elite player couldn't play in any era. So when people talk about, Wilt Chamberlain, he's fake. He's a 7-foot guy who had insane athleticism. If you bring him to the league today, there's videos of him shooting jump hooks from the 3-point line and making like 5 in a row. If you bring that dude today, he averages 30 or like 25 and 10 easily. Maybe even 25 and 15. There's no great players of the past. There's no elite, genuinely great players of the past that I don't think would struggle in this era. In any era, actually.
This one's from @Coeza123. Has the Hairline Watch ever contacted you?
How many of those are in there? I assume that there has to be more than one.
There's a few.
Yes, they have been in contact. We've maintained a dialogue ever since I was let's say, when did it start? I don't know, I started noticing it a couple of years ago. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go bald eventually. It's only a matter of time. But once it really starts going, I'm gonna let it go. I'm not gonna be one of those uncles that I just have like a fucking dome around them and then just a little bit of hair on the sides. Nah, fuck that. I'm letting it go, don't worry. And let's say, how many episodes? Let's see, like episode 50. If we ever get there, that will be episode 50. Will be the day I'll go bald, and that'll be the first. I'll debut my bald look on episode 50.
From @PassVertical, what do you think is Elnenys Ceiling?
What's the ceiling? Honestly, if you had asked me this a couple months ago, I would have said this, what he's doing right now, which is a healthy ceiling. Let's say, whatever Carlos Bacca's peak. He's a similar player, I think. At his peak, he could have scored 20 to 25 goals a season. And he was very good. He was more than good enough for a team that was a Champions League team, something like that. Probably not good enough for a team to want to win the league. Yeah, whatever's right below a league-winning striker. Honestly, I think that's his ceiling.
@Asymmetrix, would you rather visit Ulaanbaatar, but you can't wear pants of any type, or Rio de Janeiro, but you have to wear ski pants for the duration of your stay?
Alright, Google what the first place is.
It's the capital of Mongolia.
What's about it that's special? Is it cold?
It looks nice.
Let me see. Wow, it actually does look nice. What was the question?
Would you rather visit that place, but you can't wear pants of any type, or Rio, but you have to wear ski pants for the duration of your stay?
Alright, read the question again. Actually, we can just leave this part in. I want to go to Rio, because I would rather have ski pants than no pants. Life lesson right there. Did I just wink twice? What the hell's wrong with me? I don't know why. My eyes fucking just decided to do that. Ignore that. I'm not even going to fucking cut it out. I don't even care. Go on. We've been here for a long time, so I'm just going to fucking pick up the mic now. I don't even care. Alright. Carry on. Next question. That's going to be loud, so I'm sorry.
@Arsene was right. What's your opinion on clubs hiring former players like Lampard, Pirlo, Arteta, Ole?
I think sometimes it's a good idea. I think if you're going to have a transitional manager, it's probably the way to go, just because fans are going to give them more leeway. Players are going to respect them from the go if they have a nice legacy at that club. And the only thing is, how do you make it clear to your fan base that it is a transitional period, because they're obviously going to get mad once that guy gets fired, unless he's a complete not legend like Arteta is, which is the funniest part about him. Like, all the guys you mentioned, those are all legends at their clubs, and then you talk about Arteta, who's just a fucking guy. He's just a water carrier at Arsenal. Like, he's just fucking. It's so funny how defensive they get about a guy who wouldn't even fucking, like, you know how, like, on the walls at all those clubs, Lampard is there, Oli is there, you know, all these guys on the walls at Arsenal. If they ever put Arteta there, that club's finished, man. But yeah, I think there's definitely advantages, but the guys like Zidane and like Pep are a dime a dozen. But to be fair, they're about a dime a dozen as much as anything else. Their rate of success actually in Pep, Simeone, and Zidane, that rate of success is probably just as good as the rate of success of any manager, really, in terms of like sample size.
Who are some of your favorite managers, and how do you like your eggs?
My favorite managers are Simeone, Gattuso, Allegri. I like defensive football. Klopp, who isn't exactly defensive, but he has like defensive ideas. I mean, off the ball ideas, I guess. Who else? My favorite managers, Gasperini, who doesn't really fit in the rest of the bunch, but he's so fucking good, I have to respect it. Yeah, those sound like the guys. How do I like my eggs in the morning? I hate eggs, actually. I hate eggs in the morning, especially. I would only eat them at night. But like if we were having like an IHOP dinner or something like that, I might have some eggs. But in the morning, I hate eggs. All right, continue. They make
How do
me
you like
nut.
them? Scrambled, boiled.
I don't like any of the ones with the yolk. Like no sunny side up, any of that weird American shit. I don't like any of those. My mom made us too afraid. Okay, here's a story. When the bird flu we went like 2 years without eating eggs because of the bird flu. When that happened, my mom refused to let us eat any eggs for the rest of the year, for the rest of the like 1 or 2 years or whatever. She just refused to get it to let us eat eggs unless they were hard boiled or like in some sort of cooking.
From at Clock Merchant, will you force your daughter to wear a hijab?
He's recording me now. Sheikh Badir has arrived. If I could edit, I'd edit like a Hatto Agal on me right now, but I can't. So I'm not even going to try. But no, I'm not going to force, I don't think I'm going to force her if I have a daughter. But I would hope that I had an environment around her that she would want to do that herself. Like it would promote that kind of behavior. Ultimately, like I can't control these people, like my kids' lives the entire fucking time. So you can't force them to do things. You could just put them in the best. You could put them in an environment that promotes the kind of behavior that you'd like, and then hope for the best, I guess. Or beat them, one or the other.
From the same person at Clock Merchant, if Lowry were to be traded, where do you think would be the best destination for him to go, and what would be the best destination?
What? Did he ask the same question twice? He does that all the time. All right. Okay. This is not the place he's most likely to go. But if there was one team that was so fucking tailor made for him to put them over the edge, it's the Clippers. Like if he went to the Clippers, I know they'd basically be the LA Raptors at that point. But if he went to the Clippers, they'd win a championship. And I'm not even like, there's no doubt in my mind. If he went to the Clippers, they'd win a championship. And I don't see it. I don't see what they have to trade, but that's their best opportunity, and that would be the best place for him.
From at Bulgarian_Mong, most underrated player in the NBA this season.
Most underrated player. It's a hard one. Okay. The team I don't really see anybody talking about that I think is actually good. The Spurs. Let's say underrated. I'd say probably like Keldon Johnson or Lonnie Walker. One of those guys. Actually, okay, Keldon Johnson or DeJounte Murray, because DeJounte Murray is a fucking animal on defense, like insane defense every single game. He's starting to shoot a little bit. Triple-double machine, basically. One of those two. I'd say Keldon Johnson or DeJounte Murray.
Who do you think has a more exciting future out of Memphis, New Orleans, or OKC?
Okay. Favorite team to watch this year? Probably the Warriors. Just because it's so fucking fun to watch Steph just do this shit. I trust Memphis the most in the draft. New Orleans has the better players right now. This is way better players. And OKC has the most desirable assets. And they have a better front office than New Orleans. But ultimately, I have to say New Orleans. Just, dude, Zion is so overwhelmingly good. Like, it's insane how good that guy is. And now they have Ingram re-signed. And those two together for an extended amount of years. All David Griffin has to do is not fuck this up. Like, if he doesn't, it's so easy to not fuck this up. So, stop with the Steven Adams crap. Get some fucking spacing around these two superstars, or potential superstars. Trade for Beal. They should be willing to trade every single pick, every single thing, and every single asset in a trade for Beal. They could make the playoffs this year, but I don't see it. Get Bledsoe off the team. Get Steven Adams off the. for the life of me, I will never understand why they traded George Hill but kept Bledsoe. Like, in terms of fit, George Hill would be 1,000 times better. The way Alonzo's playing the past couple of weeks, couple of weeks, re-sign him, but I can't imagine he's going to keep this up for the rest of the season. So if he needs to be traded for whatever big deal you try to make, do that. And, that's all I got.